This is my work, Defining Indefinites by uh, Eli Frank, me. Um, it is a philosophical kind of analysis of humanity in and of itself. Um, I'm only like 17, so don't take this like crazy. I mean, my view of the world is still developing, and um, I want my works to develop along with it. Oh my gosh. Uh, so first we start out with control. Humans are innately intelligent animals. Our inherent awareness and understanding of our surroundings and ability to control what first thought to be untamable is what separates us as these intelligent animals. Good example of this is the biblical story of Genesis, how we are kind of the groundskeepers, the people who take care of all the life around us. We are technically the highest form of being away from God in that interpretation. Uh, it is a statement of how intelligent, how supreme we are, technically. And in and of itself, life is an uncontrollable force greater than anything one singular person or one collective society could be. So we have to take life and kind of shrink it down to our understanding. We have to control the information and reshape the information to give us something we as humans can comprehend, something that we can take and put into our brains. Someone like Girard would state that religion is one of the biggest examples of this, kind of shrinking life down to some kind of sizable narrative for us to comprehend. Um, it's not necessarily controlling the idea of life, but it is comprehending it. And to comprehend it, we need control. And it in religion, it usually creates some sort of genesis, some way humans came out of nothing, because to us uh, that's what happened. We didn't notice our constant evolution, as Darwin has put it. It creates human logic and human ethics, which is kind of what separates us from animals. There is our human nature and there's our animalistic nature, our impulses fighting against our logic. Um, and then it also creates a higher power, a god, so to say, or karma, dharma, something that is the invisible force controlling life, or the invisible force that is life itself. Um, and it these basic concepts spawning from religion tame the idea of life into something we can comprehend as humans. It gives us a definite, fixed point of view that cannot be changed or altered, an idea in complete and utter control. We as humans need control, a fixed definite. And I mean, yes, these concepts have evolved over time, but they still remain to some extent semi-definite. And I will get to the point of us realizing indefinite over time, but that comes later. Uh, Next, this brings me to society. Humans are social creatures. As much as we long for purpose, we long for connection as well. But we do not let each other flourish independently. We long to be intertwined, but from that intertwining always comes a hierarchy. Society comes from our reliance on what others provide, a system of support designed to create an idea of fairness and symbiotic reward. But society cannot be without the inherent control of humans, and somehow we allow the people who control us to be the most well rewarded. Uh, the ideas of hierarchies, like theocratic hierarchies, whoever's closest to God, the feudal hierarchy of medieval Europe, and the class-based and politically based hierarchy of today. The rich kind of control the poor in a sense. And this develops from our ideas of kind of the system of support that people who give greater products, who do more for society, deserve more reward. It is not an inherently equal system. And that is just how we work as people. Um, and like in society, just like in mathematics, arithmetic, there has to be a greater than and a lesser than, someone who is higher than another. That is just how we have created our society and how we have honestly created our understanding of the world. There is an up, a down. There is a right, there is a left. There is a better, there is a worse. That is just how we as human beings think. And society in and of itself binds man to a fixed point of understanding. It creates invisible strings of control not made aware to the people it controls. Um, the lesser than are lesser because of what is essentially circular reasoning. They are lesser because of either the fault of themselves or just because that is how things were meant to be. Same with the greater than. They are greater because they worked harder, are better, or just because it's their God given right. The lesser are lesser because they are lesser, like just innately worse, not as good as the greater, who are greater because they are inherently greater. They worked harder. They lived a more fulfilling life, even though that is truly not how it always is. Usually they come from greater backgrounds, places of higher prosperity, and it creates kind of a paradoxical nature in and of itself, and a fallacy, you know. And this is just the inevitable hierarchy of society. Human nature creates it, and human nature perpetuates it. It is as much human nature as it is our animalistic nature, are just impulses. Honestly, society is created from a combination of the two. Um, but let me move on to the next slide. Freedom. This is kind of taking both of the two factors and evaluating it into uh, how we see the world. We, as humans, believe we have innate free will, which is a lie. Um, because normalcy within society, societal standards, all this stuff is a definition to humanity, a definition to what a human being should be, which is what confines and controls our free will. It creates a connection over connection. I mean, a control over connections, rules, boundaries, and an absolute lack of true free will. Over time, these walls crumble. These walls seem to lose their meaning, their purpose, and they fall. Uh, some people would state this as losing everything that's sacred, society in and of itself losing meaning, but this is just us becoming more free, us becoming less confined. Because a human can be anything. A human doesn't have to be some weird Homo sapien who goes to work every day, who does this and that. A human can be everything. And Hegel states that the history of the world is none other than the progress of the consciousness of freedom. And if we allow societal standards and normalcy to conduct how we act, we chain ourselves down. We chain what a human can be down. If you stop questioning why things are the way they are and try to just fit in, try to be like everybody else, try to be quote unquote normal, you have failed this progressive evolution of freedom. You have honestly failed yourself because you are not letting yourself be who you are. You are not supposed to be like everybody else. You are supposed to be unique. Um, Before God Bless America was used on American coinage, it used to state, mind your business. And it is a great encapsulation, sorry, a great encapsulation of this philosophy. We as people, from the way I see it, we as people are a solar system of ideas and understandings. We are nothing more than different planets revolving around each other, different worlds in and of itself, because of our different relative understandings. And we do eclipse each other. These worlds come and they meet, like us landing on an alien planet and talking to an alien civilization. But that does not mean we should go to that quote unquote civilization, that understanding of the world, knock it down and create something more akin to ours. We should let it prosper independently. Because if in and of itself it is not meant to prosper, it will not. It will fall apart. Our uniqueness is what creates the symbiosis of society. It's what allows society in and of itself to prosper. If we assimilate into normalcy, we assimilate into these hierarchies. We assimilate into better than, less than, this, that. We let people and we let ideals and other things just control us. And we shouldn't let that happen. It creates a disillusionment of freedom and free will, and it breaks us down into nothing more than programmable robots in and of itself. Uh, and this comes to my final point of indefinition. To make a system of true freedom work, we have to realize that not everything in and of itself is defined. Everything, to some extent, is indefinite. We must, as people, relinquish our control and realize that we, in fact, do not know anything. Yes, we have this built-on sense of ideas. We have science, math, but all of it is relative to variables. All of our experiences and understanding are relative. Relative to the people we are, to the time we live in, to how we lived, and even down to the science of how our brains function and how they take in information. A good example is me. I am autistic. I have a hard time sometimes connecting with the people around me, and I get chastised for it. But in and of itself, it's just a different way of seeing the world. Even someone with lower functioning autism, honestly, they are more authentic to themselves because they do not have this sense of conformity to them. They are just how they are, and they live that way. We as humans try to create a uniform facet of understanding, when honestly, in fact, humans are not uniform at all. We are unique. Each of us are different, and that's what allows us to prosper as a society. We do not need to throw away science, math, and history, not our basic units of understanding, because they are bricks in the pyramid of humanity, the civilization, or what's a good analogy? The structure of who we are. It is what allows us to function in and of a sense of togetherness. It allows us to intertwine. We need some sense of uniform kind of facts and understanding to intertwine. That is a fact. But that does not mean that everything should be definite. We should understand what we understand, have what we have, the information that we have. but realize that it is all like subject to variables, to relativity, you know? Um, Even Einstein states it with his theory of relativity. I could be 1 hour ahead of the guy next to me. He could be at a completely different place at a completely different time at the same time I'm at. But I would never know that. Um, and to truly be free and accept our freedom as humans, to achieve what Hegel states as our true consciousness of freedom, we must realize that everything in life is indefinite. That not everything is set in stone and completely sunk into concrete. We must stop trying to tame life as we know it and everything around us and stop trying to be these kind of supreme beings and realize that we need to let the journey take us to where we need to be. We as humans will be happier once we realize that we do not need to control everything. It is the progress of human understanding. It is the progress of life, and I believe that is the ultimate end goal. That is the ultimate end of humanity, is realizing that everything is indefinite and that all of our understandings can fall apart at any moment, accepting that fact to become happy and free. We spend too much time as human beings locking ourselves in one sort of box, one sort of way of understanding, that it causes us to clash and conflict with one another when we should just really realize that not everything is as rigid as we make it out to be. That things can flow and connect with one another and still slowly drift apart, but they will always be there. Just because it is indefinite does not mean that it will not always be there. It just means that it is not always one way of being understood, you know? It is not one simple definition in a dictionary. It can be so many things. And you see that very fluidly with social media and how it takes words and can completely redefine them, completely recreate something. Um, but I mean, I probably just said a ton of bullshit or what is essentially uh, just random stuff, and you could have not grasped anything. But I just want you to take away from this that you do not need to always be in control. If you fight for nothing but control in your life, you will not be happy. You need to be you. Just live. Just live. And you will be happy. The end. Thanks for watching or listening or whatever you did. Thanks.